For decades, we have held on to a very specific picture of what education looks like. Rigid rows of desks, heads down, and students quietly absorbing information from the front of the room. We have maintained an equally specific picture of play. It happens outside, it is structureless, chaotic, and treated as completely separate from the serious academic work happening indoors. Today, global education standards are expanding, and early childhood curricula are becoming increasingly crowded. Because of this pressure, play is often pushed out of classrooms to make room for more formal instruction. The root of this tension comes from how we historically define the concept. If play is strictly categorized as an activity with no extrinsic goal, educators face a paradox. Teachers have specific academic targets they are required to hit, which makes a goalless activity look like a liability. Evidence from anthropologists and developmental psychologists, along with neuroscientists, is beginning to challenge this binary. Global educational frameworks, like the IB Primary Years Program, are starting to look for a way to bridge the gap between goalless play and targeted learning. To reconcile these conflicting goals, we need a framework that maps the act of playing to the actual mechanics of the developing brain. This play spectrum diagram shows a sliding scale determined by who initiates and directs an activity. On the far left, free play occurs when children initiate and direct scenarios. Moving to the center, guided play features adults scaffolding the environment while children retain agency. For example, a teacher might set up a pretend grocery store. The environment is explicitly designed to spark the exploration of mathematics and new vocabulary, but the child gets to lead the narrative of shopping and trading. On the far right is direct instruction. If an adult dictates exactly which apples to count and what dialogue to use, the experience shifts toward the adult-led side, mirroring a traditional lesson. Utilizing the spectrum allows educators to design early years experiences that are both joyful for the child and rigorously goal-oriented for the teacher. This approach aligns with how the brain matures. Child development occurs from the bottom up, meaning a child must master foundational sensory skills before integrating complex cognitive tasks. Play physically changes the architecture of the brain. It refines the prefrontal cortex and stimulates proteins responsible for growing new neurons and synapses. Analysis of playful learning identifies 5 specific characteristics that drive these gains. The experience is joyful, iterative, meaningful, socially interactive, and requires active, minds-on thinking. These characteristics map to specific developmental needs. Manipulative play with blocks hones fine motor skills and spatial reasoning. Dramatic, scenario-based play allows children to practice emotional regulation and empathy. This is why the IB Primary Years Program treats 3 to 6-year-olds as natural inquirers who possess mental abilities uniquely suited for these early phases of development. Within this framework, play functions as the biological mechanism that allows young learners to actively construct meaning from the world around them. In a traditional early childhood setting, the teacher is the sole distributor of knowledge. They stand at the front, dictating the schedule and dispensing facts to a passive audience. A teacher operating on the play spectrum takes on a different identity. They become a facilitator, act as a provocateur, and a keen observer, working directly alongside the students to co-construct the inquiry. To make this work, the physical environment changes. Schools move away from predetermined, rigid time blocks and eliminate the reliance on repetitive worksheets. Instead, the classroom becomes a flexible space. The room is explicitly designed to encourage symbolic exploration, providing long, uninterrupted stretches of time for students to dive into play. In this environment, the teacher is constantly documenting agency and introducing the specific scaffolded challenges that push a child's inquiry further. This shifts the entire focus of the classroom. Exploration becomes the curriculum itself. By treating children as capable inquirers and designing environments that harness their biological drive to explore, educators build a foundation for lifelong learning. In the early years, play is the rigorous work of inquiry.